Am I the a-hole for refusing to speak positively of my dad and stepmother when not doing so is causing my stepsister to be bullied and excluded? I am 20 currently, but my parents divorced when I was 11, and my dad remarried Lauren less than a year later. Lauren already had a baby, Cora. Lauren was nice before they married, but after she and my dad got married, she made it clear that she didn't want me in the picture and saw me as an obstacle to her perfect family. They would almost always force me to babysit Cora. Oftentimes, they would promise I could go to see my friends or do something. Then I would be forced to cancel last minute because they wanted to go out and needed someone to watch Cora. When they did spend time with her, I was almost always excluded. For example, I was told to check in on my grandma, which I didn't mind as I love her, and help her with chores. I discovered after returning home that my dad, Lauren, and Cora had gone to an amusement park without me. Lauren claimed she wanted family only on a trip. My dad didn't say anything. This is just one of countless examples when I was excluded, and my dad never stood up for me. At 16, I chose to live with my mom full-time and stopped going to my dad and Lauren's house. Things are going well. I have a job and I'm able to stay in the area because my college is online. One night, a few of my friends and I were out for dinner when we bumped into Jacob, the son of two of my dad's friends. He and his parents were always nice to me, so we spent most of dinner talking together. Jacob brought up that he was sad he didn't get to see me as often and mentioned how the courts had forced me away from my dad's home. It turns out my dad and Lauren told people that my evil mother, ridiculous, but also Jacob had never met my mom and only knew her from my dad's stories, manipulated the courts and completely stole their custody, which is why I didn't live with them anymore. I told Jacob that I chose to leave. I shared some examples of times I was excluded, like how Lauren wanted family-only time without me and how my dad never stood up for me. Jacob was shocked, but we managed to redirect the conversation, and it was still a good night. Apparently, Jacob told his parents, who then told their friend group, which included almost all the neighbors, about how my dad and Lauren treated me. Now their friends are excluding my dad and Lauren. They found a new phone to get past me blocking them and are saying I need to talk about this with them. And we know you're a good daughter and will help end these rumors about your family. Some relatives are saying I should help them, since Cora is now being excluded by her former friends and is extremely upset about it. These relatives argue that I'm an adult and Cora is a child, so she should come first. I agree that children should come first, and I feel bad for Cora since it isn't her fault. But I still feel she's not my responsibility. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Well. If it isn't the consequences of their own actions, all you did was tell your truth. Now they have to face the music, and they don't like it. None of this is your responsibility. You're not the a-hole. Yep, as someone can't recall who once said, if people wanted you to speak well of them, they should have behaved better. Exactly this. I have never understood people who treat others badly, yet expect to be spoken of with glowing terms by those same people. Help end these rumors about your family? You already did that. You ended the rumors about your mom. Lauren and your dad made clear that you aren't family, not the a-hole. Notice it's your family when they want something, but not when it's time to go on trips. Exactly. OP can reply with, "Oh, I'm on it. I already corrected the false rumors about my family, which is my mom. You made it clear a long time ago that I wasn't part of your family. You chose to lie about mine, so I fixed it. You'll have to deal with the fallout from your lies all on your own." Next story. Am I the a-hole for rejecting all my stepdad's attempts to be given father of the bride duties for my wedding? My parents divorced when I, 26 female, was 2, and my brother, 30 male, was 6. Mom remarried when we were 4 and 8. We spent an equal amount of parenting time with our mom and our dad. There was no primary parent or one house we spent more time in. It was equal. Our dad wasn't a deadbeat. He wasn't neglectful or a bad dad by any means, but our mom and stepdad expected us to consider our stepdad our new dad. There was some pressure to call him dad or something fatherly. We resisted. My brother was grounded for saying disrespectful things toward our stepdad. After that, his relationship with our dad went from annoyed but I'll accept you being here to my brother constantly rubbing it in his face that our stepdad wasn't a real dad and had no kids. I never fought with my stepdad or my mom, but I never saw him as my second dad either. It always made me unhappy how they spoke, as if my dad was somehow lesser than my stepdad and didn't provide us with a real home or family because he was single. I always found it odd they saw it that way, because technically, my stepdad wasn't real family either. If we're going into specifics, I would say he was less real family than my dad. It was always a weird relationship. I never really got close to my stepdad, and my relationship with my mom was never the greatest. My mom wanted us to be a tight-knit family unit, with my dad as the outsider. She hated that her husband was really the outsider, and over time, she became more of an outsider too. We didn't trust or lean on her like we did with our dad. My brother was 13 when he started staying with dad full-time, and he never went to mom's house after that. I think if he had, he and my stepdad would have killed each other. I made a choice at 15 to live with dad full-time. My mom and stepdad did everything they could to change my mind, but it didn't work. Every year, I have less of a relationship with them, by choice. They try to make things better, but for them, that means I acknowledge them as my parents and my stepdad as my dad. He's just not. They've completely given up on my brother because he has continued to make it clear he will never speak respectfully to our stepdad. When my brother got married, it was a huge drama with my mom and stepdad. My brother asked dad to be his best man, and when my mom found out through a relative, she and my stepdad were beside themselves over it. They saw it as the most unexpected thing, even though my brother had made his feelings clear. They weren't invited to the wedding, which was the final nail in the coffin. I never went completely no contact like my brother, but I would say low contact fits better. I had intended to invite them to my wedding, mostly because a small part of me feels bad for my mom losing both kids. But now I'm questioning that because of the issue of the father of the bride duties. My stepdad wanted to walk me down the aisle or do the father-daughter dance. I told him I was doing both with my dad alone. He offered to pay for the wedding if I let him do it. I said no, and he bargained for just one of the duties and still offered to pay. I still said no. This was all done via text. When my mom found out, she texted me that I wasn't showing him respect and that I could have had a much worse stepdad. She said I never fully appreciated what a great man he is and all the effort he put into trying to be our dad. That ended in a fight because I told her they went about it wrong. Now my head is buzzing with doubt. Am I the a-hole? Should I go no contact now and be done like my brother? All this stuff is whirling in my head. But for the point of this post, I'm asking if I'm the a-hole. Not the a-hole, but your mom is the real villain here. I completely agree. Your mom's actions seem to have fueled the situation and made things much worse. It sounds like she played a significant role in creating or escalating the conflict, which isn't fair to you at all. Not the a-hole. You were gracious enough to give them an inch, and they tried to take a mile. I would rescind their invitation. Also, I imagine your brother wouldn't be happy to see your stepdad at your wedding, considering he absolutely hates his guts. I don't think she needs to worry about her older brother's feelings. He's an adult, and if she wants those folks at her wedding, he should be a big enough person to put his personal feelings aside for one weekend. I do agree with your statement. They are taking a mile. OP, it's very clear from this long history, more than 2 decades, that your mother and stepfather doesn't respect you or your feelings and really never has. At some point, ask yourself, do you want to have someone in your life who bulldozes you, disregards your feelings, and makes everything about themselves? They made choices, divorce and remarrying, and there are consequences to those decisions. While your mom may think this was the right outcome for her, she couldn't make it the right outcome for her kids. You're not the a-hole, but by continuing to have contact with them, this is also on you. You're way past the fool me twice, shame on me stage. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister-in-law I would watch her daughter if she could bring her to me instead of going to her? Okay, so I'm going to try to summarize this to the best of my ability. My sister-in-law, 23 female, has a 1-year-old daughter, and the father is not in the picture, so she struggles with childcare. She has a usual babysitter, but whenever the sitter is unavailable, I, 24 female, go over to her house to watch her daughter. I also have a 3-year-old autistic son who requires a certain level of understanding. My sister-in-law's house is by no means child-proof, and recently she has been moving, making it even more hectic for my son. However, watching her daughter every once in a while is something I can manage. Recently, I was told her sitter would be unavailable until further notice, and she asked if I could watch her daughter Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. I agreed, on the condition that she bring her daughter to my house so I can keep my son content, keep up with my responsibilities, and take care of my animals. My dog can't be left alone for long periods. This arrangement didn't seem to be an issue after we discussed it, until she later told my husband, her brother, to pressure me into going to her house. I clarified again that I needed her to bring her daughter here, and once again, she agreed. However, she just didn't show up today and later told me she couldn't bring her daughter to my house and that I would need to come to her. She even offered to pick me up and drop me off. I understand first-time mom jitters, but she has taken her daughter to sitters before. I do this for free because she's family. So am I wrong for expecting her to understand that I have an autistic child and my own responsibilities at home that I could just neglect for an entire week? Am I wrong for asking her to bring her daughter to me instead of going to her house? I'm sticking to the boundaries I set when she first asked me. Edit. My husband wasn't aware that I had already talked to her before she asked him. He is also 100% on my side and is helping me stand my ground. I was told the reason she won't bring her daughter to my house is that she's worried about her daughter getting allergies from my cats. However, she also has a dog and 3 cats. I don't live in a Better Homes and Gardens catalog, but my house is very clean because I take pride in living with animals. Honestly, my house is spotless compared to hers. Now for the top comments. Look at it this way. Are you going to let your people-pleaser tendencies make your son suffer? That's what will happen if you drag your child out of his home for 10 hours a day, 5 days a week. I could never do that to him. It's just downright not fair. Thank you for that perspective. You don't owe your sister-in-law free babysitting. You were trying to be helpful, and she doesn't appreciate it. You can't go to her house. End of discussion. I think she'll let the babysitter go because you're doing it for free. There's no reason to feel guilty. Why can't her family help? Why can't your husband's family help? Mom has a whole list of issues on her own, and grandparents are aging and unable. There really isn't much family besides us. No, WTF, beggars can't be choosers. Your husband should be on your side here. She can bring her to you or find someone else. How ungrateful. He is 100% on my side and believes she's been cuddled too much her entire life due to the situations they've faced as a family. He told me to hold my ground and not go over, and I'm having a hard time with that. I'm really trying to stop being a people pleaser. Fortify yourself on the belief that your child and their safety and comfortability come first. Since you're a people pleaser, focus on pleasing your child first. Last story. Am I the a-hole for exposing my sister for stealing from our grandparents? So I, 21 female, don't even know where to start. I'm honestly all over the place right now and feel like the worst person ever. But here's what happened. My sister, 22 female, and I have always been close with our grandparents. They're amazing people, so sweet, always taking care of us, and they keep a lot of cash around the house because they're old school like that. Every time we visit, they try to give us money, even when we tell them not to, but that's just who they are. Anyway, for the past couple of months, I've noticed something weird. After almost every visit, they'd mention how they thought they had more cash in certain spots. Like, oh, I thought there was another $50 here. Or, where did that $20 I left in a drawer go? They'd always laugh it off, like they were just being forgetful, but something about it stuck with me. Last weekend, my sister and I went over there to visit. This time, I couldn't shake the feeling, so I decided to pay more attention. At one point, my sister said she needed to use the bathroom, but she was gone for a while. I don't even know what came over me, but I went to check, and I caught her in their bedroom with her dresser drawer open. I watched her take money and shove it into her purse. I was stunned. I called her out on the spot and she freaked out. She started saying she was just borrowing it and would put it back. I told her that was BS and that this wasn't the first time. I could just tell. She begged me not to say anything and said it wasn't a big deal. But I couldn't. After we left, I was torn. I didn't want to destroy our relationship, but I couldn't let this slide. So I told my parents everything. They were shocked and furious, and they ended up telling our grandparents, who were obviously devastated. My sister denied it at first, but eventually when my parents pushed, she admitted she'd done it a few times. Now my family is a mess. My parents are so angry at her. My grandparents are heartbroken, and my sister has completely shut me out. She's been texting me, calling me a traitor, saying I ruined her life and blew this out of proportion. She even blocked me on social media. I feel horrible. I didn't want this to blow up like it did, but I also couldn't just keep quiet while she stole from people who've done nothing but love us. My parents say I did the right thing, but I can't stop feeling guilty. So am I the a-hole? Should I have just handled it privately with her instead of getting everyone involved? Absolutely not the a-hole. You did what was right. She could have asked for money, and they would have given it to her instead of stealing. She is the a-hole. You were absolutely right. They give us money anyway every time we visit them. She should have asked for it instead of stealing from them. They're the most loving people I know. They don't deserve that and needed to know the truth. If she wasn't caught lying, she would still be lying. You done the right thing. Not the a-hole. It will take time for her to mature. Nipping lying and stealing in the bud early in life is urgent. Yes, guilt is natural, but you did the right thing as an act of love. I just had to tell them the truth. They're our grandparents and the most loving people I know. They give us money anyways every time we visit them. They don't deserve that. Good instincts, OP, and you are right. Your grandparents are being hurt by your sister. I can even imagine that they were starting to wonder if they were losing it. I feel bad for them. Don't feel guilty. Your sister really needs to take full accountability for her own actions and the consequences. Being a thief is bad, but only being upset because you got caught and not understanding that the thievery itself is horrible shows a lack of shame and remorse. Your sister has a lot of growing up to do. Don't let her deflect her anger onto you. 10,000% not the a-hole.